And then we've got the flag. Thanks, Teo.
Do you think this could be a very one-sided Golden Boot race with her leading the way?
Jumping on the shoe phone as well in celebration, which was fantastic.
Fresh off their impressive 3-0 win over the Brisbane Roar last week, the Newcastle Jets have got their next test up against the number 2 side in the competition, Melbourne Victory. Curling effort, a free header, Kennedy White, her 6th goal of the season, cutting it across for Pollicina. What a strike! Melbourne Victory, 3 good goals. 3 important points.
Ball into the penalty area and a chance off the post, but the rebound is in. Back post. Oh, and there it is. Samba. Goalkeeper's come a long way, but Samba has slotted it in. This is a win for the ages for the Phoenix. 7-0.
Rasmussen now, she's got the speed. Annalise Rasmussen, that's a wonderful goal! The Mariners hit the lead! For Sasha Grove, she's done it! Canberra have levelled it up!
Pressured by Dorber. Now it's Holler up towards Badawea. True. Badawea, there's the opening goal. And it's back-to-back wins at last. And there will be plenty of festive cheer in the West.
And some great celebrations across the weekend to top it all off. Hello and welcome to Dub Zone. I'm Amy Duggan, joined as always by A-League's commentator Teo Pellizzeri, and for her second appearance on Dub Zone, Sydney FC's Bianca Galic. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Tay, welcome. What a big weekend it was, and a really rough trip across the ditch for you, Bianca. I feel like we should get it out of the way, rip the Band-Aid off, and head straight to Wellington. 7-0 the scoreline over there. Samba getting on the score sheet for the first time. Grace Jale bagging a double, but how is your team feeling after this one?
Yeah, I mean, not great at all. We're obviously very disappointed in ourselves, and I guess the reason that we play the game is to have moments where we win, we score, we play for ourselves, for each other, for the fans, for our families. We sacrifice so much, and we definitely weren't happy with that performance. We were slow off the mark, and Wellington did great, to be fair. They took every opportunity that they had. There were a lot were coming from back post and corners, as you can see. And we really didn't show up for the match. So there's sort of no other words other than we are disappointed. There's still a lot to play for this season, and it's sort of one of those moments that we now have to put behind us, and we can't sort of hold on to it for too long.
If you remember it, what was the pre-game team talk? What are the last things you remember in the rooms before walking out and starting the match?
I think it was just to be positive with each other in every moment and have each other's back. And we were obviously coming off a loss against Canberra as well. So we wanted this to be a game where we could sort of fight for each other and play and show the, I guess, Sydney FC integrity and fight that that we do have. But after conceding in, I think, the second minute, and then again a second goal coming within 10 minutes, that was really frustrating for us because a lot of those first words didn't end up paying off. There was obviously, you know, a lot to play for in that match, but we weren't able to turn it around.
Interesting you mentioned the early goal, because my assessment of this, when I saw the team sheet an hour before kickoff, I thought, Sydney's picked a team to draw this 0-0, contain and counter. And you may disagree with that, you're welcome to, but as soon as that early goal hit the back of the net, I saw the life force drain out of this Sydney team, a team that didn't believe it could score. The club is now on its record run without scoring. By only 2 minutes, but it's only the second time in Sydney FC history they've gone 3 completed games without scoring. And they left all their creative players on the bench. When I saw Maddie Caspers on the bench, I thought, well, what is Sydney doing? And seven's a shock. A record defeat is a surprise. No one sees that coming. But I'm really at a loss as to the lineup they named for this particular game. Amy, I don't know if you felt similar when you saw the goals rattling in.
Well, to be honest, the second half was Well, it got to the point where it was almost embarrassing, and
It was pick your
feel
score
for
by
the
the second
players
half, yeah.
out there who were on the field having to deal with this by that stage. But the damage was done early, and I don't know why Sydney couldn't just, put a stopper on that. As you said, a lot of the goals came to the far post. They've been lacking creativity up front. We've discussed that week after week. A chance to redeem yourself this weekend coming, obviously, B, but it is hard to dig yourself out of a hole like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think at halftime we were 3-0 down, and it definitely was a scoreline that's hard to come back from. But I think no one saw the ending being as high as sort of it was. And I think it comes down to having a little bit more fight and grit and experience coming through. We do have a younger squad, but we do have trickles of experience as well. And when there is a hole and we're digging deep, there's got to be a sort of unity in pulling each other out. And I think we just didn't have that on that day, and to be honest, we never want to repeat that.
Before we get into how good Wellington were, and don't worry, Kiwis, we will mention how good Wellington was. Bouncing back from the club's record defeat, historically, would you believe, 5 times out of 11, the team that has just suffered its club record defeat went on to win the very next game. So you can wipe the slate clean. Here are some examples. The 2 times Western Sydney Wanderers copped 10. Brisbane, the week after Adelaide put 8 past them a couple of seasons ago. Even Western United last season, after they lost 8-2 to Brisbane, Western recovered and made the finals. Brisbane, after scoring 8, missed the finals. So the next 7 days are so important. How have you assessed the mindset and sort of the attempts to move on from the game since you've arrived back in Australia?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head. There's obviously a time to be disappointed and dwell, and then there's sort of that next day where you sort of have to go, okay, we have more games to play. And at the end of the day, this is 1 loss. Massive scoreline, which we're all super unhappy with, if that's the right word to even describe it. But it's 1 loss, and we've still got over 20 games to play. And like you've just mentioned, teams have come back from it. It's a marathon this season. It's not a sprint. And if we can sort of get back on the right train within the next 2-3 weeks and keep building into the season that we want it to be, I can see ourselves making finals and lifting that premiership trophy.
Well, let's not dwell on how horrible Sydney was. Let's talk about how great Wellington was, including that first goal for Samba and that double to Grace Jale. Let's hear from their coach, Bev Priestman, following their record-breaking win.
In terms of the defending and other parts of the game, I think we've seen that consistently from this team. It was the final third that really has cost us the recent points. But I think, for me, I'm happy for the players. We've got a buy over Christmas. They can enjoy their Christmas dinner. But for us now, we have to kick on, right? I was really pleased more than anything. We kept a clean sheet as well, and I think that's the standards that we have to set for this team.
There you go, Bev Priestman. You would have thought she'd be smiling just a little bit more than that after a 7-0 win. But a well-earned Christmas break coming the way of the Knicks. Teo more than tripling their goal tally for the season.
It's kind of fitting that Nat Lawrence was at the ground, because she was the coach last time Wellington had their record win, which was just on an island unto itself, this 5-0 win against Canberra at the Cake Tin out of nowhere. Wellington have to make sure that this is a blueprint for the rest of the season and not a one-off phenomenon, because they did take their chances. Bev Priestman had flagged that they had this in them, and honestly, they could have scored 10 plus. Some of the chances they missed were easier than the ones they scored during the course of the game.
And they have, had some tough results and some tough games, but progressively you've seen pieces where they could have put more goals away previously. And she did say prior to that game, there's a hiding coming for someone. It just, had to be at the hands of Sydney this time around.
Now, I need to ask, what was it like playing against Samba? Because there's been a lot of hype and a lot of anticipation of that first goal. And while it would have been a bit heartbreaking for you, what was it like watching her go to town and score her first 2 Ninja A-League goals? Yeah,
I mean, I actually think she's a fantastic player. She definitely added a lot of spice up front for that Wellington team. Lots of energy, always sort of wanted the ball at her feet, wanted to play it off, 1-2 touch, get it back. And then we've got the flag. Thanks, Teo. So yeah, look, her energy is sort of on display for the entire 90 minutes that she's out there, and you can tell she's a striker that's hungry for goals. And in her previous matches, she's hit the crossbar, hit the post, and unfortunately against us, she managed to hit the target.
Now, one thing Bev Priestman said prior to this game, we haven't heard anything new on it since, is that Wellington are looking to use the foreign spot from Tessel Midag's ACL, and they're going to replace Alyssa Wynnum, who's also out for the season. So they've got 2 new signings signings coming in. The deadline's the 29th. So in the next 3 or 4 days, we might see a new foreign signing at Wellington and a new replacement for Wynnum. And I think that could be the difference between simply making the top 6 and maybe pushing into the title contenders bracket.
Ooh, in the top 4 perhaps, Teo, and semi-finals and maybe even a grand final for the next
well, depending on who they are, I think this could be the real tipping point because they will be so full of confidence after this win.
Big call early. Now, it's not all doom and gloom at Sydney, don't forget, especially for sideline captain Nat Tobin, who made a pretty big announcement this week.
So some big news, I'm actually pregnant, which is very exciting. So I haven't actually had a hamstring injury. Thank you to everyone who's reached out and sent the good wishes. But yes, I can now reveal that I am 14 weeks pregnant.
It is incredibly exciting news for Nat, and congratulations from all of us here at Dub Zone for a healthy and happy pregnancy, Nat. But Bianca, take us behind the doors of Sydney FC. This was a hamstring injury for so many weeks now. Is that what you thought as well? Was this a surprise?
Yeah, she definitely had everyone fooled at the club that she was out for soft tissue. But to be honest with you, the news is even better than that. So we're all very excited for her. We know it's obviously that right time in her life with her partner after getting married last year, and we're really excited to have her and sort of have her on board during the journey, and hopefully we can see her on the way back through when she does come back.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing for the league and for the game to see mums being able to balance both being pregnant, having babies and coming back to play football. So great news all round. Let's head up the freeway though to Newcastle, where Melbourne Victory actually took the spoils over Newcastle at home 3-1, making it back-to-back wins. Rhianna Pollicina absolutely stealing the show with this absolute belter. Might even be a front runner for goal of the season, Teo.
I think the technique of this is amazing. The power Rhianna Pollicina generates off minimal backlift is phenomenal. That is an excellently executed goal. The game overall, I feel as though we didn't learn a great deal about either team. Newcastle went away from what had worked so well in the win against Brisbane. They reshuffled their back line. They had a different centre-back pairing, and it left Kennedy White totally unmarked for the opening goal. And the video review would have been pretty unkind because Kennedy White, the league's top scorer, leaps and scores unmarked in the penalty box, and it allows Victory to dictate the game from there. So they'd be very disappointed that after such a great showing against the Raw, it feels like they've taken a step back.
Well, they had a great start to the season too, Newcastle, but Victory seemed to be grinding out wins at the moment. The scoreline perhaps not reflective of how to and fro the game was. But Bianca, when a ball like that comes across and you're going to hit it first time and you hit it sweet, it's just a feeling, isn't it?
You know once you've hit that one sweet. She's done really well there. I think she's settled into the Victory team really well. She's obviously come across from City this season, and she's getting goals like that. It just means that the team's sort of really cohesive, working well. She knows where she needs to be, and the players on the wing know where they need to play the ball for her to obviously get that one in the back of the net. So to do that and sort of make a goal out of nothing, amazing.
Goal of the season. Teo, are you going to call it early?
No, I still think the team goal from Canberra, which Sasha Grove scored, is goal of the season for me. And Erin Healy, the long shot against Brisbane, if you like an individual solo strike, I think that one has to be up there as well.
But defensively, Newcastle obviously has a bit of work to do.
I mean, they've been a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team. Great against Brisbane, not great against the Mariners. Here is that Kennedy White goal to open the scoring that we mentioned. And the Jets, even though they did have Melina Reyes, I think almost a little bit isolated in this game, trying to, carry the attacking load on her own. Very hard to chase a game against Melbourne Victory. We know that. And Newcastle, the up and down form will continue. 6 of 11 make finals. I don't think it's worth throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but they'd be disappointed that they couldn't make home ground advantage count in this one.
They certainly would be, in a couple of defensive lapses there that are watching on the video analysis. They will want their time back again. Bianca, we see this often. You don't notice exactly, that one is just a mistake from the keeper, but ultimately the space in behind the defence there is the problem.
Yeah, and you could tell that off the second and third goal as well, sort of a trend that Newcastle let it happen, let the Melbourne players get in behind, and then obviously play such an easy ball into the 6-yard box, and you sort of need to score there from Victory, which they have. They've taken their opportunities. I think in terms of of teams being on and off. It's something we see all the time in the A-League. Like last year we had Canberra put up a great fight against City, and Canberra were at the bottom, City were at the top. I think this season's much the same already, where teams at the bottom are pretty much giving a fight to anyone they can, and I think you just got to be ready. You can't change formations too drastically. You can't leave Kennedy White open either. I think she's a player and a force to be reckoned with at Victory, and she's led the line really well.
Yeah, my favourite American, I keep saying it, week after week after week. Let's hear now from the scorer of that absolute banger, Rhianna Pollicina, spoke to us after the match.
Yeah, there's still, obviously, Sylvester to come back and Blissett. We still got so many quality young ones as well. We got so many, like Poppy, like not here. And yeah, as I said, there's so much quality in the squad. So competition's great. And yeah, everyone's fighting for that starting 11 spot. But if we keep winning and we got quality coming off the bench, that's what you want. And it gives Jeff a headache as well.
A scary sign for the competition with Melbourne Victory on top of the table, and a couple of their pre-season recruits still yet to hit the paddock. We say that as we welcome A-League's reporter Nalin Mastou to the desk. Hello.
Hello, Amy.
And Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Lots coming up.
Yes, absolutely. And the player we're going to focus on for our little spotlight this week is your favourite American, Kennedy White. She's in incredible goal-scoring form at the moment, 6 goals in 8 games, and we spoke to her a little bit earlier to hear more about her journey to the A-Leagues.
Janchevsky towards the back post. Morrison is there, and it's their new signing, Kennedy White, who gets the final touch. She gets the goal on her debut that her play has perhaps deserved.
What I heard about Melbourne Victory before I signed was that it was a big club, lots of fans, high energy games. I know there's a lot of support on the men's side too, and I think the women's side is growing too, so I'm really excited to just see the fans out there and play at Amy Park. I think we have a lot of resources. It's been really professional. Every day we have a set routine and a good standard that we follow, so it's been great so far. Well, the people here are awesome. My housemates are amazing. The team is great. I have 3 other roommates, Chelsea, Rachel, and Sienna. I think I'm a high energy player up top.
Now the long ball, Kennedy White. She's got the burners on, takes a touch, sends it home, and Kennedy White, 2 goals in 2 games in the Ninja A-League and brings Melbourne Victory back level.
Press, get in behind, make big runs, score goals, and assist when I can.
Kennedy White strikes again! The American makes it 2.
And then just be supportive to the team and have everyone's back.
McMeekin now looking to drive it in and through! And Kennedy White has a hat-trick!
I heard it was really fast, athletic, some great players coming in and out, some even coming to the US and back. So I was really excited about that and just playing with new players and new teams and kind of looking around Australia too, seeing the different states and stuff.
Lots of talk about how Emily Gilnick could possibly be replaced in this Melbourne Victory side. But 4 goals in 2 games, including a hat-trick. Kennedy White, well, that is some finish from her.
Awesome to hear from Kennedy. Also worth mentioning that she does rank first when it comes to shots on target in the competition, and what Georgia said there on commentary, she's filling the void left by Emily Gilnick. Now, Amy, I'll go to you first on this one. Do you think this could be a very one-sided Golden Boot race with her leading the way?
Well, at the moment, she's certainly leading the way, isn't she? Erin Healy, of course, was up the ladder last year, nowhere to be seen at the moment. Other teams struggling to score goals across the league. Maybe Samba's got her shooting boots on now and we'll catch her, but it's quite a lag. Melbourne City's the only other one that's got a few games up their sleeve that maybe can come back somewhere if Holly Mack starts to hit the back of the net on a more regular basis. But at the moment, she's running clear.
And Bianca, you are yet to face Melbourne Victory, but eventually when Sydney FC do come up against them, how much focus in the build-up to a big game like that goes into stopping a player like Kennedy White?
Yeah, I mean, a decent amount. The last few clips you obviously showed she's sort of that force that can get the balls in behind and also create a goal in that 6-yard box as well. I think Victory have a decent splay of talent across the park, so I don't think there's sort of one sort of pocket that we can say, yep, let's get 3 players on her, because Pollicina just scored then and has been before. Rachel Lowe's been great up top for them as well. So I think it'll definitely be an interesting match when we come up against them. But Kennedy White's obviously done really well and found the back of the net multiple times when maybe she shouldn't have as well.
Now we're on Women's Asian Cup watch, and not just with the Aussies abroad, but also how our oppositions will be performing, and one of which is the Philippines. They won the Southeast Asian Games, and a couple of familiar names also featured. Current Wanderers defender in Janae Fazio, along with former players like Angie Bede, Jacqueline Sawicki and Sarah Egglesvik. Now, last time Matildas faced Philippines, it was an 8-0 mauling in the qualifying for the Olympics. So you do feel like this first contest against the Philippines will be a little bit more competitive come the Women's Asian Cup. But Bianca, speaking about the national team, we did sort of want to hear from you about the decision you made, I believe, late last year about choosing to represent Croatia and fully declaring that and leaving the Matildas. How difficult was that decision and what were you weighing up at the time?
I mean, I think you weigh up everything. You're sort of realising that you're not early 20s anymore, and I think Australia has a very sort of set system in how they go through the mini Matildas, the young Matildas and so on. It's obviously great that they have such an extended list, but at the end of the day, when you get an opportunity from another national team, it's sort of one where I weighed up and thought, when I'm 50 or 60 years old, I don't want to regret never playing for a national team, and sort of decided to go on a camp and get to know a lot of the girls over there. And for me, it was just really nice to obviously connect with my homeland, and my grandparents were beyond excited. My family were actually thought it was a joke the first time that it got brought up, which we always laugh back on. But I think it's just one of those decisions that you have to make and sort of put yourself first and see where I guess the ages line up. And obviously we've got heaps of Matildas at the moment who are getting to those final ages, and then the bridges are being built for those 20, 21, 23 year olds, and I'm obviously a little bit older than that. So when it was my decision, I've obviously run with it. I'm super proud to represent Croatia, and I guess now in the league you're seeing it a lot more. We've got Laura Hughes, who recently committed to Wales. I think it's fantastic when you play in these competitions in Europe, you really get exposed. When you're just playing in the A-League, it's very difficult to come against different sort of opposition and spices. Like the A-League has one sort of context, but then when you go overseas, it's a whole different ball game. You have no idea who you're playing, no idea what their tactics are, and you really just feel out of your comfort zone. And I think it's a moment of growth, and I'm sure if other girls are getting approached by different countries, Australia will start to pick up on that earlier, because, you know, players like Laura Hughes could have been crucial for Matildas, and I think it might be the same with a couple more.
I think a lot of players will be taking inspiration from that. You just got to back yourself, and hopefully we get to see you a lot more in for the Croatian national team. But going back a little bit to the Matildas, it would be remiss of me not to mention Sam Kerr getting on the score sheet not once but twice when Chelsea absolutely thrashed Liverpool in the Women's League Cup quarter-final. And also worth mentioning, Kyra Cooney-Cross got an assist as well. But Kerr being Chelsea's leading goal scorer despite only starting 4 games this season across all competitions is incredible. Not surprising, however, but I did want to pose this question to everyone, because in the lead up to the Women's World Cup, it did feel like a lot of fans thought their hopes of winning it would hinge on Sam Kerr and her form. And I remember the news when it broke in the first game, you were there, Amy, that she was out of the lineup. It spread like wildfire and it was mass hysteria amongst the fans. But do you feel like the way the Matildas are structured now, they're not just solely dependent on one player to give them all the goals? Like, how do you see that? Is there more balance in the team?
I think there's more balance in the team. I think the Matildas' depth in squad and the way they're able to rotate players works. We've talked about, you know, possible late bolters for the Asian Cup, and I think the Asian Cup will be a real test for the Matildas, especially up front. But it is wonderful to see Sam Kerr back in scoring action, and we can't wait to see Mary Fowler hopefully back on the paddock as well. But who will be the next number 9 that comes through after her? I guess, or 20 in her case. But that is the big question.
No, this is Sam Kerr's team. It's all built around Sam Kerr. She is our only hope of beating Japan. We need Sam Kerr happy. We need her closest allies in the team happy. We need the tactics built around her. She's the hope. She's shown here coming back for Chelsea. Doesn't matter if she's been out for 18 months. She's just better at football than many other players. And given how phenomenal Japan are as a unit, we need the X factor of Kerr. She's the hope.
Okay. I agree that she can be definitely one of the stars, but I just feel like if you base one team off one player and that player doesn't end up playing, injury, unavailable, sick, what's your plan?
We saw it at the World Cup. It worked out fine. Semi-final, best ever result.
I'll just take another Sam Kerr goal against England, please.
We would.
Again and again and again. Nalin, thank you so much for shining a spotlight on all the things happening on and off the park with the A-League. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Amy.
We will move from Sam Kerr to the Sam Kerr Football Centre, where Perth Glory managed back-to-back wins with a home 1-0 victory over Adelaide United. Here is Isabel Dalton following the match.
Yeah, it's huge. I think having the momentum being at home is always big for us. We get a good crowd out here, and I think obviously, as everyone knows, it's hard to come out to Perth. So it's really good to get 2 back-to-back wins here. Yeah, I think it gives us a lot of confidence, to be honest. I think that's probably what we lacked in that little period there where we really struggled. So I think, obviously going into the Christmas break, it'll be nice to have a bit of momentum and confidence about us. Obviously, we have City next, which we know is going to be hard, but I think we've got to take the positives out of it and see that we can actually compete. And we put ourselves in the mix now, and I think we've got to use that and keep it going, I guess.
Izzy Dalton there after Perth's back-to-back wins. Roller Badawiya on the score sheet in that 1-0 victory over Adelaide, and jumping on the shoe phone as well in celebration, which was fantastic, and probably thanking the Australian government for her residency. They looked like they really enjoyed this one, B.
They did. Great to see, obviously, Roller back on the score sheet. We know how much Perth travel week to week. They're just a team that is unfortunately on the western side and have to make a 5-hour trip everywhere they go. And I don't think Adelaide did enough there to get the ball out of that 6-yard box, and Roller just made sure she was there at the right time and put it in the back of the net.
Teo, last week you said, Perth good vibes after their first game at home and win at home in 5 games, I think it was. But you can see it, can't you? They're gelling.
And now they get the ultimate test. They get Melbourne City away. So, yes, they've built up some confidence. They've had 2 wins in a row. Their season's back on track. You only have a 2-game winning streak out of the top 6. Now they get to see how far they've come, because both home and away they conceded 5 times against Melbourne City last season. So this is an important benchmark for them. And for Adelaide, they don't have to worry too much because their get-right game is just around the corner. I know we talk a lot about Wanderers in the Sydney Derby. Adelaide have not lost to the Western Sydney Wanderers since November 2019. 6 wins in a row. And if they can't win this one, then it's time to panic. But I'm going to give them a mulligan because they had influenza Ray go through the team. They had to get the Melbourne City game postponed.
Yeah.
I'm willing to give them this game off. But if they can't beat the Wanderers, this team that they own, basically, then it's panic station.
Not a whole lot of support up front, B.
Yeah, I mean, you can obviously see the way Adelaide play. They want to move the ball up quick and they want to get it to their front 3. I think it's just that final decision-making and obviously getting the ball on target to obviously hit that back of the net.
And hit the back of the net is what they will need to do, Bianca, that's right, as they face the Wanderers in their upcoming match. Let's move on now to Canberra United, who shared the points with the Mariners across the weekend, and each of them has an intriguing matchup again this weekend. Starting with Canberra, they'll have some chance for revenge from round 1 when they meet the Jets. It's always good to get a crack at a team that beat you, Bianca.
Yeah, 100%. It's so early on in the season, and we're already seeing teams play each other for the second time. I think it's definitely early on, but it's a time where you need to get the points, and that's what makes do with the end.
5 unbeaten for Canberra. I mean, they needed that equaliser, yes, but...
Took 4 hours.
The 2 lightning breaks did no one any favours, but they were showing character in that one, and the Mariners... Yeah. They go into a tough game. They may have the edge over victory in penalty shootouts, but they still haven't beaten them in 90 minutes since coming back into the league. So when you want to push up the table and make certain of your spot in the finals, they need to beat them eventually, don't they?
Yeah, and well, eyeing off some revenge of their own, of course, losing 1-0 early on in the round. The Mariners did to Melbourne victory. They're in good form at the moment. So what is going to be the key to this one, Teo?
For the Mariners, I think that these games against victory are always defence-first mentality. It's who is going to take some risks, whether it's making subs earlier, whether it's picking a more attacking lineup. I'm fascinated as to what they will try.
What do you think, B, between the Mariners
I
and
mean,
Victory?
we already saw then that link-up play between Gomez and Rasmussen up front. If they can get that hand in hand when they verse Victory, that's going to be goals galore.
The Mariners may just pip this one. Now, Teo, there was also a big announcement this week.
Yeah, very exciting. You might see on A-League men's broadcasts the Alex Tobin medal votes after each game, 3-2-1, and then inevitably you hear from the player of the match. That award at the end of the season is the reward of an Isuzu Ute given to that player, the winning player's grassroots club for a year. Well, Ninja, fantastic Ninja, have got on board for the Claire Polkinghorne medal, which again will be awarded at the end of this season. $10,000 worth of Ninja products will go to the grassroots club of the winning player, which is great to hear. And Bianca, if you were to win, which club would be the lucky recipient of the $10,000 worth of Ninja products?
That would be my junior club, Concord Football Club.
Well, good luck to all of the junior clubs out there. It's fantastic to see Ninja getting even further behind the league and bringing in the Claire Polkinghorne medal. And Amy, just a word on Polks. It's fantastic. Like Alex Tobin, like Johnny Warren, like Julie Dolan, her name is now synonymous with being one of the best players in the league.
And so it should be etched in history. A fabulous player, a defender for the Matildas, a stalwart of not just the Ninja A-League but also our national team. And you know, what a fantastic way to honour her legacy in the game. I love it. Back to the Ninja A-League and the ladder now. Let's take a look. It is a little deceiving still with a few games in hand for Melbourne City down there, but it is Melbourne Victory sitting on top by a single point over Canberra United. The Mariners in third, Newcastle in fourth. The Raw, Perth Glory and Sydney FC all on 9 points, and the Phoenix, even after that big win, still lagging just a little bit.
And that's why one swallow does not make a summer. They need to turn it in. No, they need to turn it into a winning streak now. They've got all that momentum behind them.
Phoenix rising from the ashes, that's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
It will be interesting to see what happens with the ladder, and we will do that in round 9 of the Ninja A-League. Of course, a bit of a break on Friday evening this week with the festivities that are happening. Adelaide United and Western Sydney Wanderers kicking this one off for us on Saturday afternoon. Central Coast Mariners at home to Victory. Newcastle Jets hosting Canberra United. And then on Sunday, Melbourne City, Perth Glory and Sydney FC, Brisbane Roar. You've got to wait for all those other games before some redemption.
Yeah, and we're going to get it. I'm confident.
Teo, match of the round for you?
It's got to be City-Perth, because if Perth can keep 3 clean sheets in a row, our next dub zone, forget the Nepalese flag. We might have a big B for Bolter coming into the studio. I don't want to spoil it any further, just in case City clap them 4-0, which is equally possible.
Well, Teo Pellizzeri and Bianca Galic, thank you so much for your time on Dub Zone today. And Merry Christmas to both of you as well. And same to all our viewers out there. A very Merry Christmas to all of you. Enjoy your weekend football. If you can't get out to a game on the weekend, make sure you're watching all the action on Paramount+. From us here at Dub Zone, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year.